And welcome back to the NWA 1983 project. I'm your host, Juan Cena, and with me, as always, is Matt Riley. How are you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm fantastic.
Fantastic. Coming off the new and improved Starrcade 83. It was a fantastic event. Flair did end up beating Harley Race for the NWA World title. In addition, we had Butch Reed, who defeated Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for the NWA World Television Championship. That was fantastic. It was a almost 2-hour show, which made it our longest running show of all time. A lot of cool stuff on that show. So guys, if you haven't listened to our Starrcade, new and improved Starrcade 83 show, I highly recommend that show. It might have been our best show to date. Before we get started in this show, I do want to talk about, we had a comment recently on our comment section. It's not bad. It's actually
I love that we call people out like, listen, you son of a bitch.
Well, I think one of the important things is to have an active dialogue with the people who do, take a second out to make a comment on our comment section. We don't get a lot of those, so
right.
I feel it's important to make sure that we talk about that. And he had mentioned on our All Japan show that we did last year. It was actually December 16th of last year, that we didn't really go super deep into All Japan, and I have to go back and listen to the show again to see if we did or didn't. But if we didn't, told them in the comment sections that we're going to circle back on a lot of these topics again, especially on some of the shows where we didn't get as deep as maybe we would have liked to on some of these episodes. And we'll make sure we hit it hard. But that being said, to give a full and detailed description on a particular promotion and do that for every promotion in the world at the time of 1983 probably would have took us about 30 episodes to do.
Right.
And this is ongoing. This will be our 66th episode. So we have to kind of spread it out a little bit. We got to talk about some, various different topics. That's one of the reasons we chose to talk about a little bit more modern wrestling, because, we can always, there's always something new happening every week or every month with a new pay-per-view, that kind of stuff. So to keep us fresh and not, go over the same topics or run out of things to talk about, we kind of had to spread this out a little bit. So I do appreciate the feedback. Again, it's a fair point, and we will do another show on All Japan, I promise, down the road, and we'll talk about all the cool stuff that happened in All Japan and their current status right now. They're from what I understand, they're back on the come up. So we might see more from All Japan, and their relationship with the NWA is super important because they were the stalwart Japanese NWA promotion for such a long time. With Baba winning 2 championships, one from Jack Briscoe, the other one from Harley Race. That's super important in what we're doing, and the fact that I used Giant Baba as a heel, as a foreign menace type heel in 1983, I think it's something that
foreign menace.
Well, I don't like that, but if you're going to have a giant Japanese man who's about 6'10", you pair him with Gary Hart, you bring him around the country, I think you can draw some money with that.
Who doesn't hate Gary Hart?
That's a good point. You put him with Kabuki, and Tenru, and let them go wild. On,
Kendo Nagasaki.
Kendo Nagasaki, yes.
Who was the guy from, the guy from AWA, 80s, late 80s?
Was it Saito?
No. He was a jobber, but he had a terrible haircut and a karate chop, and was like, They always act like he was murdering someone. That chop to the throat should be illegal.
Well, they used to do that with Pak Song Nam, where they used to do where he used to break stones with the chop, and that's how they got Dusty Rhodes became the American Dream, because he protected Mike Graham, he got the chop, and that was it. They're off and running to the races, and there's your babyface here for Dusty Rhodes, and he never turned heel again until late in the NWO run when he turned heel and joined the NWO. But no one seems to remember that, which is hilarious to me. But what are you going to do there? So this episode, we'll be focusing on an arena, one that's near and dear to my heart, the Nassau Coliseum, which I consider my home arena. It's the arena that I go watch wrestling matches at. My first show was in 1987, and my most recent show was over the summer in 2017. So I have the full spectrum of experience here. So we're going to talk about that to start off. And in addition, we're going to talk about the Four Horsemen, and we're going to give you a Wrestle Kingdom 12 preview. So this is a action-packed show, as always.
Indeed.
The main event of this show will be, once again, Ric Flair versus Harley Race in a rematch for the NWA World Title. Let's see if Flair can hold on to the belt here. I have a sneaking suspicion that he will be able to. You know, as we finish up 1983 and we enter early 1984, again, this series will conclude at the Showdown at Shea and the spring of 84 before we go and do the NWA 1984 project. But we want to have some shots in the tri-state area, the New York metropolitan area, the Northeast, to kind of prepare for the show. So that's why we're hitting the Nassau Coliseum, because I feel that's an arena we could probably get into. Don't forget that the NWA did end up running the Nassau Coliseum for that for probably one of the worst pay-per-views of all time, the Bunkhouse Stampede. So they're able to sneak into the Nassau Coliseum. So I figured we would use it here at this point, late in 83. December of 83. As we'll take a couple shots into Vince's territory. What the hell? We have TV there, of course, so why not? But the Nassau Coliseum was opened up in 1972. It occupies 63 acres on Mitchell's Airfield, which was an Army and Air Force base on Long Island. It is located in the town of Hempstead and the hamlets of Uniondale, which is not a great neighborhood, by the way, for those of you who are. It's not. It's like Hempstead is not a great neighborhood. Uniondale is not a great neighborhood in the vicinity in terms of Long Island itself. Lots of gang violence over there. But where the Coliseum is basically, it kind of intersects a couple different highways, so you get in and out relatively easily. And it's a drive-in arena. What I mean by drive-in, you drive in and you park and you go inside. There's some mass transit there, but again, for people who live on Long Island, it's in your best interest to own a car. Very much suburbia, so it's literally an arena in the middle of suburbia with houses and such not that far away. So right now it is about a 14,000 seat arena. Currently, it's 410,000 square feet. It was opened in 1972, like I said, and it was also renovated in April 2017. Home of the New York Nets from the ABA at one point. A longtime home of the New York Islanders, although they don't currently reside there. They currently reside in Brooklyn, and it looks like they're moving to Belmont, which is on Long Island. Technically, if you want to be technically about geography, Queens and Brooklyn are on Long Island. It's on the island itself, so.
Okay.
Some people may not know that. There's no bridges for me to cross over going into Brooklyn or Queens. It's just a straight shot. So some of the bigger wrestling events held there. We're going to quickly go over a couple of them. I guess the first one of any note will be WrestleMania II. WrestleMania II is probably considered by many as the worst WrestleMania of all time. It just didn't live up to the hype. I mean,
the Executioner Tito Santana match, was that one of them?
No, that was WrestleMania 1.
No.
But we'll quickly go over the WrestleMania 2 card. Yeah, it doesn't hold up as...
Just how bad was it? How bad? It was bad.
It wasn't good. It wasn't. WrestleMania 2 took place on Monday, April 7th, 1986. It was emanating from 3 different locations: the Nassau Coliseum, the Rosemont Horizon, and the Los Angeles Sports Arena in LA. It was a closed-circuit event. It was aired on limited pay-per-view. The card is as follows. And Matt, you tell me if this is a good card all around.
All right, let's see here.
Okay. You had Don Morocco taking on Paul Orndorff.
Okay, that's not bad. It's a good start.
You had Randy Savage, who defeated George Steele. You had Jake Roberts, who beat George Wells.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Mr. T, along with the Haiti Kid and Smoking Joe Frazier, defeated Roddy Piper with Bob Orton and Lou Duva via disqualification in a boxing match.
Oh, man.
Those were the matches from the Nassau Coliseum, by the way. From the Rosemont Horizon, you had the Fabulous Moolah, who defeated Velvet McIntyre. Corporal Kirshner defeated Nikolai Volkov in a flag match. Andre the Giant winning the Battle Royal. It was the WWF versus NFL Battle Royal. He eliminated Bret Hart to win it. The British Bulldogs, with Lou Albano and Ozzy Osbourne, defeated the Dream Team of Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine with Johnny Valiant to win the WWF Tag Team title. From Los Angeles, we had Ricky Steamboat, who defeated Hercules Hernandez. Adrian Donis defeated Uncle Elmer. Hoss Funk and Terry Funk defeated Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana. And Hulk Hogan defeated King Kong Bundy to retain the WWF World Heavyweight Champion.
This is Jesse the Body Ventura. The countdown to WrestleMania, April 7th, 1986. Recently, the World Wrestling Federation held a bi-coastal, coast-to-coast press conference. At that conference was discussed a match that's bigger than the Thrilla in Manila. Roddy Piper's gonna put on the gloves, take on Mr. T. Let's see what Rowdy had to say.
What's ivory with an ebony behind? The A-team. That poor fella's out there. Poor Mr. T's out there, and he's doing all this stuff. He went and got Smoking Joe Frazier to come in his corner because he needs some help. He's got this guy, and he's putting this big thing together because he's got this vendetta because he could not get a hold of me last time in WrestleMania, and now he wants to box me, this crazed idiot. I watched him, and his left hand was about 6 inches below his chin. That's the first thing you ought to do, T, is take care of that. Where's Joe Frazier? You know, Joe, let me tell you something. I don't know what your coalition is with Mr. T, but if you have a coalition with him and you decide that you want to do something April the 7th and you want to jump in the ring, sir, you're going to think you're back in Manila.
Roddy Piper was in New York. Now we're going to go out to Los Angeles to hear Mr. T's response. By the way, Mr. T being trained by Smokin' Joe Frazier and Olympic coach Lou Duva training Piper. Let's see what T had to say back to the Rowdy one.
What in the world is that, Mr. T?
This is Roddy Piper.
Here, you might well use this microphone. Sure.
Yeah, hope you can see this here, Piper. I'm wearing this little funny skirt that you've been wearing, all this old stuff, you know, and you got this guy, Duva, whatever his name is, he can't help you. You might be fast, but you can't stand up to my lefts and rights. That's Orton about that. I hope you can see me in New York, because I tell you, I've been plenty mad. Nobody whooped me since I was 6 years old, and that was my mother. You humiliated me in front of my 2 kids. They was crying and whatnot, so I got to avenge that. So you're going to be in trouble April the 7th. That's all I got to say. I ain't going to be doing too much talking, you know. I'm here eating my cereal to get my strength, and I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be punching out everybody. Right now, I'm issuing a challenge. I need some sparring partners. The other 2 I had, they're in the hospital.
In Los Angeles will take place a championship match inside a steel cage. Unprecedented in the World Wrestling Federation. Champion Hulk Hogan will face the man who injured him, King Kong Bundy. Let's see what Bundy says.
You know, if I could take everybody back in time to last year's WrestleMania, I set the record for the fastest pin ever in the history of the World Wrestling Federation. 9 seconds, I beat the man in. And, you know, it wasn't any coincidence that I picked this, you know, the greatest extravaganza in the history of professional sports to do this, and I chose the time. And now I've chose WrestleMania to become the heavyweight champion of the world. I'm 6'6", 468 pounds, and I'm the man that should be the world champion. And April 7th in Los Angeles, Hulk Hogan, what you got on that Saturday night main event in Phoenix is nothing compared to what's going to happen in that steel cage. And I'm going to come out of that steel cage the heavyweight champion of the world.
That was the challenger, King Kong Bundy. Now we go across the country by satellite to Los Angeles, California, where the champion, Hulk Hogan, replies to King Kong Bundy. Title match inside the cage, unprecedented. Here's the Hulk.
The kids were crying. The police officer was crying, brother. And it wasn't like the life. I'm sorry, it wasn't like the breath was knocked out of me. It was like he took the life out of me, man, for a minute and a half. It was like he killed Hulkamania. It was like I did see the darkness that his partner Morocco talks about. And you know something, Mean Gene? If I had to climb to that steel cage with one good limb, brother, and finish my destiny right there, I will be in that steel cage no matter what condition. And yeah, when I do try to work out now, I feel the separation of the ribs, the torn muscles, and all the other gaga, which only I'm living right now. And King Kong Bundy, all I got to say, April 7th, brother, you're the #1 contender. You say you're a giant, and that's what it's going to take to stay with me, brother. You better be a giant, and you better be ready, because I'm coming after you, brother.
That's just the beginning of WrestleMania II. It's going to come at you in over 200 locations throughout the United States and Canada, plus pay-per-view cable. 3 locations, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. Don't you dare miss it. I'll be there.
Yeah, this show is trash. Again, I haven't watched a lot of TV from '86 to see the lead up to this. I mean, obviously we all know the Hogan and Bundy build for this, but I'm curious to see what was the Ricky Steamboat versus Hercules Hernandez build. See what that looked like.
The George Steele one I remember, because that kind of carried over to part WrestleMania 3 with him being
well, that was a big deal. That was the big deal with George Steele lusting after Elizabeth and Randy Savage as a champ, going after that. But I mean, it's Randy Savage versus a comedy mid-card babyface. You know what I mean? For the IC belt. You know, it's Jake Roberts defeating a jobber and George Wells. Although it was
George
cool,
Wells.
Although it was cool that he put the snake on George Wells and it kind of gripped around him. He foamed from the mouth. I guess he had some Alka-Seltzer or whatever. That was cool. Boxing matches and wrestling never, ever, ever fucking worked. Ever. Not once.
No. Speaking
of the Nassau Coliseum, I feel they started cheering for Piper. Which
really?
I think, I think the Nassau Coliseum turned Roddy Piper babyface. Because he's defending wrestling against, an actor, essentially. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so Roddy Piper is their guy, although he's a big time heel, the biggest heel in the world at this time. But he's defending the honor of professional wrestling against Mr. T, who should have been in the match with him, and not for nothing, Mr. T fucking gassed out and fucking Piper had to carry him through that shit.
Yeah.
Piper should have just knocked him out, I think. Said fuck it.
Can you imagine?
Won the business for himself, knocked him out.
Right, he just knocks his fucking block off.
Yeah.
Bonk. Oh, sorry, buddy.
And Piper showed legitimate boxing skills in this match, I feel.
Hulk Hogan with comments regarding their upcoming bouts.
That's right, all you wrestling fans out there. You seen what happened to me on March the 1st. That's right. So that means it's going to be Mr. T and Piper in WrestleMania 2. Mr. T and Piper. So you better get your tickets, because I've been training. Soon the A-team is over next week. I'm training 3 times a day, getting ready for Piper. And then I'm going to be looking out for Orton if he trying to sneak his stuff. I only had 2 weeks of training for Orton. I took the challenge. I didn't think Piper was going to be there, but he was there. And so I couldn't turn down then. So everybody was expecting me there, so I had to do my part. So Piper pulled out his belt and whooped me. I haven't got whooped since I was 6 years old, and I've been bad ever since about that. So I'm down here in East L.A. training with my buddy Hulk Hogan, the world wrestling champion. I tell you, if any sneaky stuff did happen this time, he's going to be right there with me. Even though he's going to be in L.A., I'm going to be in New York. He's going to be taking care of business. He's going to be going against, what's that big fat slob name? King Kong Bundy, and the other slob, Magnificent Morocco, and the Weasel Bobby Heenan, and my hands going to be full in New York against Roddy Piper or whoever else you have. I'm getting ready, people.
You know what these people don't really understand, Mr. T? Is the fact not everyone knows him personally like I do. So what if the guy's rich, a movie star? Everybody knows he's a heck of a boxer. But that's not all he lives for, man. Every day, brother, he pays his dues, man. Dedicates his life to those special children out there, man. And those kids believe in him, man. So even if you think that you can hold him down and whip him with a belt, you're not going to hold me down, because I'm not going to let them kids down.
No way,
them kids
brother.
look up to me. And I dedicate this victory to the kids. So, Piper, you in trouble. Even if I was tired, I'm going to do it for them kids. They don't understand, man, that he doesn't live this life for Mr. T alone. When he climbs in that ring on April 7th to box Roddy Piper's ears, it's not going to be a box. It's going to be a war, a fight. I tell you, man, I won't revenge. You're doing it for every special child in the world, all the charities, all the hungry people, and Roddy Piper. There's no way you can beat that. That's right. Especially with Mr. T in the gloves, man. That's right. I pity those fools, dead man.
In this progress report, we brought you up to date. You know now that it's going to be Mr. T facing Roddy Piper in a boxing match, and Hulk Hogan to defend the heavyweight championship of the world against King Kong Bundy within the confines of a steel cage during WrestleMania 2.
Well, he was a boxer, so.
Well, they claimed it, but I don't know how true that he was a Golden Glove champion.
Well,
That could have worked.
I'd less worry about that, more about just he was a boxer at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could tell the way, he's throwing his jabs and he's slipping punches. And
I mean, I once won a WBF championship in the IWA's boxing league, so just saying. If the claim can be made. I always use the example, I worked with a guy who used to do a Blues Brothers routine.
Yeah.
And it was like his side gig, so they would do parties and whatever. And his business card would be the Blues Brothers, a picture of him and his brother, or the guy that played his brother. And then on the top line it said, voted the #1 entertainment act in New England 3 years running by whatever it was magazine.
Nice.
And I was like, wow, that's great. And he's like, yeah, the best part, I'm like, I produced the magazine. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I put it out once a year. We do an awards issue. We name that as our best entertainment act. I'm like, he's like, yeah, me and my friends. They just like my friends' bands, my friends' business. I mean, it's published, so they can make the comment. I was like, that's garbage. I'm like, oh man. But it was an early lesson in the way you work the stardom pole,
Amazing.
Yeah. And actually, he was pretty good. But I saw him once. I was like, oh, yeah, you're pretty good. But it's just like to do that. I was like, remind I'm a Golden Gloves champion. Oh, you own Gold Gloves? Yep, good enough.
Like that Adrian Adonis Uncle Elmer match was shit.
Oh, man, yeah.
The Corporal Kirshner Nikolai Volkov match was shit.
Here's a what if for you. Over the holidays, I was given a gift magazine. It was What If Alternate History. It was all these scenarios like, what if Napoleon won Waterloo?
Yeah.
What if JFK wasn't assassinated? And it was a really well thought out, magazine. So what if Adrian Adonis didn't die? Just kidding. It wouldn't have mattered. He was a pound down anyways.
He was on the down. Like, he had a great career. Like, even his run with the tag team titles with Dick Murdoch was awesome.
Yeah.
By this time, and by WrestleMania 3, he was like his weight got out of control bad. Although he could still work. Like, Uncle Elmer's not the guy to put. Playboy Frazier is not the guy you fucking put in the ring with Adrian Adonis. I think it's going to be a good match. It only went 3 minutes.
Well, look at Buddy Rhodes. He was a fantastic worker.
Yeah.
Even as big as he was a great worker.
I definitely agree. I mean, the British Bulldog versus Dream Team match was good. They won the belts, so
maybe that'll be a future episode, a what if episode.
I'll tell you one thing. What I would have done is this: he had Hogan and Bundy in L.A. Why don't you have Hogan versus Terry Funk in L.A.? Why you ask? Because the only other wrestler other than Andre who's been in a movie is Terry Funk. Terry Funk was in Paradise Alley. He would go on to co-star in Over the Top. He's in Roadhouse. He had a TV show. Terry Funk is great friends with Sylvester Stallone. Hogan versus Funk, Sylvester Stallone, special guest referee, NLA.
There you go. That makes it happen.
And
Stallone could turn on Hogan.
Imagine.
Every day.
Well, imagine, because WrestleMania is very much about visuals, right? So imagine Hogan and Stallone raising up his hand with the belt, the whole nine. Everyone know how big of a wrestling fan Stallone is.
Right.
He always cast wrestlers in his movies. His mother was involved in Glow. There's pictures of him or Harley Race and Nick Bockwinkel. That's a big fucking deal.
Right.
So I think Terry's in LA with Dory. They fight Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana. Why is it? And it's funny because right before the Bundy Hogan feud, Hogan was feuding with Terry Funk, and they had really good matches. I liked their matches on Saturday Night's main event. Like, they were really fun.
Yeah.
Because Terry Funk, for all the old school guys, right? Terry Funk is the one who fucking got it. Like, he was larger than life, a fucking character. He's bumping all over the place for Hogan. He's making Hogan look like $1 million, but he's funny in his matches, but he's still menacing as fuck.
Yeah.
It's Terry Funk. I mean, come on. Terry Funk's awesome. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. I met him when I met him. He was awesome. He was telling me he told me two things, which I feel is legitimately true because Terry Funk told me. He told me that Dory Funk was the greatest NWA champion of all time. I haven't seen a lot of Dory Funk matches because he won the belt in 1969, so there's not a lot of stuff of his title run on tape, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, Terry Funk's telling me this, so I want to take Terry's word for it. And then he told me that Bob Backlund was legitimately crazy. It's like, Bob Backlund, he's legitimately crazy. I'm like, oh, it's good to know.
I have a friend I went through wrestling school with who became a manager. He was a huge mark for Bob Backlund. I never quite understood it, but he was
like 70s Bob
right,
Backlund?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like growing, he loved the All-American, type thing, right? So he goes into wrestling and he becomes a manager. He actually managed Triple H when he was Terra Rising.
Nice.
And John Rodeo was his ring name. And anyways, but he met him. Like, he corresponded with him and everything. And said he was a stand-up guy, but I could see that. I could totally see him being a weird. It's wrestling, anyways. How many weird people in the business to begin with?
They're all weird.
We're weird, and we're just fans.
Yeah. A funny thing about WrestleMania 2 is their celebrities. Their list of celebrities, and I'm a child of the '80s, and some of these people, number one, some of the people I don't know who they are. Other people's wow, they're C-list celebrities. I don't even know why they're here.
This week, Update takes another look at some of the celebrities for WrestleMania 2. The irrepressible Joan Rivers, Olympic boxing coach Lou Duva, the elusive burger man Herb, former world boxing champion Smoking Joe Frazier, TV's diminutive old-fashioned lady Claire Peller, radiant actress Susan St. James, the enigmatic yet resolute G. Gordon Liddy, brilliant young actor Ricky Schroeder, Chocolate Thunder Darryl Dawkins, Cotton Club's incomparable Cab Calloway, shapely and beautiful Kathy Lee Crosby, slightly evil but immensely intriguing Elvira, musician and singer extraordinaire Ray Charles, television superstar Robert Conrad, football's all-time great Dick Butkus, the eerie but explosive rock star Ozzy Osbourne. And now this from our newest celebrity.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tommy Lasorda. In Los Angeles on April the 7th at the Sports Arena, I will be the ring announcer for the great match between Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy. Be there. You're going to really enjoy it.
WrestleMania II will undoubtedly be professional wrestling's biggest ever extravaganza. For update, this is Lord Alfred Hayes.
And some of them are like past their prime celebrities, so like a Cab Calloway at WrestleMania 2. The fuck is Cab Calloway doing at WrestleMania? It's so weird.
Hey, Cab Calloway needs a buck like you or I, man. Come
I
on, cut
understand
us some
that,
slack.
but fuck.
Howdy, 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 hey.
Darryl Dawkins, I understand. Chocolate Thunder.
Darryl Dawkins, wow.
G. Gordon Liddy is a strange celebrity to have.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta think too is at the time he was well known for the whole, like, he was a former, what do you call it, Watergate guy.
Yeah.
So he was kind of getting in the public eye. And
but at a WrestleMania though?
Hey, you know, Vince, you know, I mean, look now, we have a president who was given a stunner, you know, so
Yeah.
a terrible stunner. I might say that might be my biggest fault with Donald Trump as a president. He took a shitty stunner. Like, come on, man, sell it. Him and Linda McMahon. Can you imagine if you just no-sold it?
That'd been awesome.
And Steve just beats the shit out of him for real. Like, I would imagine, like, if I know or somebody no-sold a stunner, it'd just be like, come get your whooping.
You can say what you want about Donald Trump, but he's a big-time wrestling fan, so he gets a slight pass.
He shaved Vince McMahon's head.
Yeah, Joan Rivers, okay. I can deal with Joan Rivers. Joe Frazier, obviously that's good. Lou Duva, you know, the sports world. Ray Charles is good. Mr. T, obviously, and then you have Herb. Herb is from the Burger King commercials.
Oh yeah. Well, what about the What's a Beef lady?
She's there too, which is weird. You have Wendy's and Burger King competing for a slot.
Man, I'll tell you, quick fun note: if you're on Twitter, check out Wendy's feed. They're pretty vicious.
Yeah. You had Susan St. James. She is
Susan St. James. That's an '80s name right there.
Yeah, she was in
Cagney and Lacey.
Yeah, you know, she's in Ironside and a McMillan and wife, and the reason she's there is that because she was married to one of Vince's good friends, Dick Ebersol.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So that's a big deal. Okay, Susan St. I don't know why why the fuck was she on commentary though? Oh, she's awful.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And
that's terrible.
In Chicago, they had Clara Peller, who was the What's the Beef lady, Dick Butkus, Ed Jones, Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy at WrestleMania, sweet, Bill Fralick, Ernie Holmes, Harvey Martin, Jim Covert, Russ Francis, William Perry, and then Kathy Lee Crosby, who was the original Wonder Woman before What's-Her-Face.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was in Police Woman. She was in Wonder Woman before Linda Carter. And there she is. Again, I don't know why they had her on commentary. It was awful. Los Angeles, they had Ricky Schroeder. Okay, I can live with Ricky Schroeder. Silver Spoon's in the house. I don't know why Robert Conrad was in there. He's the guy from Wild Wild West. Tommy Lasorda, I can see. You know, L.A. Dodgers. And then they had Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Well, she's Elvira. What do you want, man?
They put her on commentary with Jesse Ventura and Al Hayes.
Yeah.
She does the main event. It's funny listening to that show because they split up their main announcers. So Vince is in New York, Gorilla's in Chicago, and they had Jesse like doing play-by-play in L.A.
Well, they probably did that to keep the other hosts in line.
It's funny to hear Jesse on play-by-play and not doing color, though. So, like, he wasn't... Like, his heelness is way down. So he's more neutral on this show.
Well, Vince, that guy's a real motherfucker. Oh my God, Jesse.
So that is WrestleMania 2 in a nutshell. Our next event of note, the Bunkhouse Stampede. It was July 24th, 1988.
This is Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, the buckle, the boot, the prestige, the money of the Bunkhouse Stampede. Being the baddest of the bad, being the bull of the woods, if you will. 25, 30 men stampeded into one little bitty ring, you understand, with one thing in mind, to hurt somebody, to kick somebody's booty, to twist their arm off and put their ankles up in their chin. And many mornings I got up dwelling on the fact of being the 2-time winner of the Bunkhouse Stampede. How am I going to do it this year, when last year I had to feel around, see if my nose was still on my face. Look up in the morning and see if my ears were still on my head. My eyeballs in this socket were playing steady on my mind, because I knew Dusty Rhodes has to be the Bunkhouse Stampede champion for the 3rd time. If you will, for your hockey fans, it's a hat trick. You understand? It's a hat trick. And Dusty Rhodes now comes at you with this in mind. Anywhere, any place that on the marquee you see the National Wrestling Alliance presents the Bunkhouse Stampede, if you want to just feel a little bit of how bad it is to be the baddest, to be the bull of the woods, then and only then, buy your ticket, walk in and sit down and watch Dusty Rhodes become the bull of the woods.
Now this is the card as follows.
Oh no. Oh no.
The good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Live Sunday, January 24th, the showdowns in New York. The 3rd annual Bunkhouse Stampede Final with more than 20 of the top NWA wrestlers. Only the roughest, only the toughest will be left standing at the end. And the payoff, $500,000 for a boot full of dollars. These cowboys will do anything.
Everything goes, anything goes. Don't miss it.
See us do what we do best. Double team, triple team. The finals of the Bunkhouse Stampede. The baddest of the bad.
This is Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, and I'm here to tell you there ain't nothing as bad as the Bunkhouse Stampede. And there's only one way that you can get the Bunkhouse Stampede, so I want you to listen up there, pilgrim.
For more information on how to order the Bunkhouse Stampede Championships in your own home on January 24th, call your local cable company.
This is going to be bad, isn't it?
Well, the names on it are not bad. It's just... Is this show like an hour long? It's weird. Alright, so they had Nikita Koloff, the television champion, taking on Bobby Eaton. That ended in a time limit draw.
Wow,
Larry
Bobby.
Larry Zbyszko defeated Barry Windham for the Western States Heritage Championship. You had Road Warrior Hawk, who defeated Ric Flair by disqualification. And then you had Dusty Rhodes, who defeated Arn Anderson, the Barbarian, Ivan Koloff, Lex Luger, Road Warrior Animal, Tully Blanchard, and the Warlord, and the Bunkhouse Stampede.
Now, if my memory serves, he beat Barbarian at the end?
I believe so, yeah.
And that's one of those things that was a thing where it's like, I get Dusty putting himself over to a degree if it was like 1985, 86, maybe 87. But time to use that event to... It's like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. You give it to Mojo Rawley, and you haven't done jack with the guy.
Luger probably should have won it, in all honesty, to put him in a program with Flair.
Right.
To be completely honest, because he would go on to challenge him at Great American Bash and Starrcade of that year. So I don't know why they wouldn't put Luger up in that spot. Oh, there was a dark match, Jimmy Garvin and Sting, who defeated the Sheepherders.
Jimmy Garvin and Sting.
It was a weird team. They had just bought the UWF, so.
So they were feeling everything out, I guess.
Yeah, so it's still a really weird show. Like you have like Road Warrior Hawk versus Ric Flair.
That was a good match.
It was a fun match. I mean, but it ended in a disqualification.
Ugh.
What are you gonna do there? Yeah, Zbyszko and Barry Windham, which on paper sounds great, but I don't think that match was all that good, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the Bunkhouse Stampede. This show was terrible. They gave everyone the wrong times on the ticket, so if you watch the first couple of matches, there's no one there. They only did 6,000 people.
Oh my God!
In a 14,000 seat arena, or 17. It was at that time. It was 17 because they expanded.
That's the Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
I can only imagine what the buy rate. The buy rate was probably like 3.
I didn't even buy that one. I bought all the shitty reviews.
Yeah, it's not good at all. This is like the beginning of the end for my opinion of Jim Crockett Promotions. Like this is like, ooh, like you're coming off that Starrcade 87 Chicago. You go to New York and do 6,000 people. They would last through the year, but they would eventually sell the Turner by the end of this year. So
yeah.
So I think it was November 1st of '88 is when they said.
What's Jim Crockett doing now?
Being Jim Crockett, running his baseball team. Like the Crockett's were different than Vince, where the Crockett's they did wrestling, but they did other shit too.
Yeah.
Like they promoted like Harlem Globetrotters and rock concerts and had a hockey team and Crockett Foundation, which is a big thing now. It was established in '31, but they financially assist U.S. military veterans who return home from service. So that's a great cause.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, so like Jim Crockett didn't even want to run the wrestling when his dad died. They gave it to his brother-in-law. But then his brother-in-law cheated on his sister, so he was fired. And so Jim Crockett had to take it over. Surprised they didn't put David Crockett, because David Crockett actually wrestled.
David Crockett.
But I have a feeling that David Crockett is like the Fredo of the Crockett family for some reason.
Yeah.
Like people just don't respect him at all. But David Crockett ended up working for like WCW all the way to the end. So.
Oh, David Crockett.
He's a terrible announcer, but he's not as bad. He's still better than what we see today on TV.
I was thinking to myself the other day, like, you know what? There's some kid growing up who thinks like Michael Cole was the shit. Like, oh man, remember the time Michael Cole called that match with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens?
I kind of like Michael Cole now. Like, he's Michael Cole's the best announcer in wrestling currently. Which is not saying a whole lot for the announcers in wrestling. On the all-time list, he's still relatively low. But in terms of modern wrestling, like, name an announcer right now that's better than him for play-by-play.
Yeah.
Maybe Kevin Kelly. Maybe. I do enjoy Corey Graves, though. I think he's going to be, like, the color guy for the next 30 years, I think.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like a lot of guys who had their career cut short, you're happy to see them do well, you know?
Yeah. Now, I want to go over... The history of the WWF.com is a good resource for looking up results. My first show, the Nassau Coliseum, was March 2nd, 1987, and the card is as follows. Lanny Poffo defeated Frenchie Martin. Jim Duggan defeated Iron Mike Sharp. Ron Bass defeated the Rebel, Dick Slater. Coco Beware defeated the Honky Tonk Man. Bad Rangans, who knew, defeated Salvador Bellomo.
Wow.
Billy Jack Haynes defeated the Gladiator. WWF Tag Team. I don't know who they are. I don't know who it was. Probably a random masked man jobber.
Yeah, makes sense.
WWF Tag Team Champions, the Hart Foundation, defeated the Rougeau Brothers. And WWF World Champion Hulk Hogan defeated Hercules Hernandez.
That was your first card, huh?
That was my first card ever.
I don't know if I ever find the first card I saw, but it was at Peabody High School. I want to say I was in 8th grade, maybe 7th, and Sergeant Slaughter against the Masked Russian was the main event. And there was a U.S. Express that was not Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda.
Was this an AWA show?
I don't remember who it was. Playboy Buddy Rhodes was on it. I remember that because I kept screaming for pile driver, and then he pointed at my friends and I, and like the pile drove the guy. We're like, yeah! I wish I could find that card, though. That was a childhood memory. I remember much else besides that.
Another show that I attended at the Nassau Coliseum was June 19th, 1992. The match was as follows. It was Kerry Von Erich pinned the Brooklyn Brawler. Nails defeated Virgil. The Bushwhackers defeated Double Trouble. The Undertaker defeated the Berserker. Davey Boy Smith beat the Repo Man. The Natural Disasters defeated IRS and Ted DiBiase via countout. And in one of the greatest matches I've ever seen live, personally, WWF World Champion Randy Savage defeated Ric Flair via disqualification. Now, they did a funny thing. We've seen this spot before. Flair had brass knucks, and he knocked out Randy Savage at the pin 1, 2, 3, and then he put it underneath his armpit. So he put the brass knuckles underneath the armpit. the referee went to go raise his hand and it fell out, and the referee disqualified him, which was awesome. It was fantastic. I was just happy that Savage won. I didn't really care about the finish.
Nah, you're like, come on, man. 5 more minutes.
I was like in the third row for that too.
Oh.
Which is up to that point was like the closest I've ever been up for a wrestling card. Another memorable show at the Nassau Coliseum was SummerSlam 2002. On this show, we saw Kurt Angle, who defeated Rey Mysterio. Ric Flair defeated Chris Jericho by submission.
How big a show? How big a venue is that? Like 10,000?
It changes for like over the years. Like it's been as high as 17. SummerSlam 02 did almost 15,000 people.
Okay.
So it's a decent size. Edge defeated Eddie Guerrero. The Un-Americans of Christian and Lance Storm defeated Booker T and Goldust. Rob Van Dam defeated Chris Benoit for the IC belts. The Undertaker defeated Test in a singles match. Shawn Michaels defeated Triple H in an unsanctioned street fight. And Brock Lesnar defeated The Rock to win his very first WWE World Championship.
You were at that show?
No, I could have went to this show, and I decided on not going to this show.
Oh.
And I'm so pissed because I want to see Brock win the belt.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that you regret not going to. It's one of those shows that you regret that you didn't go to.
Man, that's... Oh.
It's very sad.
Sorry.
Very, very sad. No, I recently, over the summer, went to a Monday Night Raw at the Nassau Coliseum. The new and improved, renovated Nassau Coliseum, although, to be honest, it's just a fresh coat of paint and some new fixtures. My biggest pet peeve with that show is that it seems like they drop the seats lower to the ground. So if you have any height on you whatsoever, your legs are going to hurt from sitting down.
Oh, that sucks.
Because it's so loaded. But otherwise, it was a fine show. All right, fantastic. So that is the Nassau Coliseum in a nutshell. Again, I didn't go over all the shows that I attended, but those are just some select samples of some shows that I attended and some big shows that happened from the Coliseum. Yeah, it's my home arena, so I have a special place in my heart for that. Although it's not as good as Madison Square Garden, obviously. I probably went to more. I probably went to like 1 or 2 more shows at the Nassau Coliseum than went to the Garden, because the Garden can be difficult to get to. You know, you got to take a train in, and the train's like $25. Actually, I've probably been to more shows at the Hammerstein Ballroom. So I think I've been to 12 shows at the Hammerstein. I want to say 12 or 14. Most of them, all of them being Ring of Honor shows, to be honest. Fantastic. So I quickly want to go over my favorite faction of all time. The Four Horsemen. Now, when we talk about stables and factions, I don't think the Four Horsemen were the first stable of that kind of ilk, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it was the first family in Memphis, which was, prior to that, stables were just a manager who managed a bunch of guys. And they wouldn't interact with each other. There was no camaraderie there. It was just a manager managing a bunch of guys. That's what it was. I think the first family was the first stable where they all had, each member was working towards a common goal, which was to eliminate Jerry Lawler. Right?
Yeah.
To me, that's the first incarnation of a modern faction. But right after that, we have the Four Horsemen.
Change your heart, it seems like, you know. I know this is blood is a little deeper than water and everything, and Ken is run kind of deep and all, but you know, it was a time when you didn't go for, you know, rough tactics like that, and just because he's your kin, you can't uphold what he's doing. What about that? I can understand him being a great wrestler.
You know, I've had some time to think. And you ought to know probably as well as anybody the things that have happened to me in my life in the past, what, year, 6 months, whatever it is. And I think you know that I've done what I could do. But frankly, I finally realized maybe it doesn't do any good. Maybe it's a waste of time. I look at that kid, and you're right, I see an Anderson. I see what it can be. I don't see what somebody else wants me to make it. I see what it can be for me. I can see what it might do for that kid. And if you really stop and think about it, Bolt, if you give it some time and reflect on it, you're looking at me right now. I feel like I'm going back in time. Well, maybe that's what we ought to do. Maybe that's what we got to do. Maybe that's what it has to be. Maybe it's got to go back in time. Because if I look at it honestly, I look at you, and I look at Tommy Rich, and I look at, Dusty Rhodes. I look at this Magnum TA, and I realize all of a sudden, like a light, when I see this kid, all of a sudden I realize, you know what, Ole, you've been a kind of a dummy. You know why? No, wait a minute. You know why? Because, bold, frankly, I've been carrying you. I've been carrying Tommy Rich. I've been carrying Dusty Rhodes. I've been carrying all of you. I've been carrying you. I can squat with 700 pounds, and all of you together weigh a little bit more, and I'm just finally tired of it. You used to tell me how... Don't shake your head.
I mean, the people told me. The people said, hey, look, there isn't anything changing. I mean, this is just the trinket before you, you know, this goes way back. Way back. I mean, are you going to be a liar?
No, I don't call it a liar. I don't call it a liar. I realize I just wake up. No, wait a minute. Let me say something. They talk about, get that camera, and you say you look in a person's eyes and you can tell whether they're giving you any garbage, BSing you, so they call it.
Yeah.
You take a look, and you're going to see in my eyes, you're going to see the truth. I'm going to just tell you right now. Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to touch you. Not yet. I'm going to tell you this. Today is a free day. Today is the day that you and I look at each other, and I admit, nice guy that you were, whatever. But I helped you. You can't deny it. The days are over. I'm leaving. Next time I see you, I would suggest maybe you watch out.
And the Four Horsemen was, established in 1985, and it's all based on all these guys hating Dusty Rhodes.
All right, now, there you see that match right there. It's the Russian. Nikita Koloff is in there against the World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair. There you see he is pounding away on Ric Flair. He has him. Snap Mary takes him over. Now, there you see it. The other Russians come in.
How many times have we seen this? How many times have we seen, and we saw them just a minute ago in a six-man tag, but how many times have we seen 2-on-1, 3-on-1 when the Russians try to get the advantage? Crusher Khrushchev comes out. He shuts the cage. He makes sure no one comes in. But David, as disheartening as this was right here, it was only a prelude of some real wild things to come. Because right now, Ric Flair's in a lot of trouble.
That's right, but there's the man. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. He goes right after Crusher Khrushchev. Gets him out of the way. Now he comes in the ring to help Ric Flair. He goes in there.
Coming to the aid of the nature boy, Ric Flair. And you got to realize that Dusty Rhodes came in, out of his own will. He decided that maybe Flair needed some help, and he did need some help.
And he clean pounds. Dusty Rhodes, there you see, he's got Ivan. He pounds away on Ivan.
Really working over Ivan Koloff, and David, there he goes. Ivan says, I've had enough. All of them, they leave. And, right there, Dusty Rhodes cleared house, and there they are, both men, the top two men in the world today. In that cage, Dusty Rhodes had just come to the aid of Ric Flair.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen that much, but there's a lot more.
There is a lot more. All of our fans, David, it's hard for me to conceive what transpired. What would you do if someone came into to rescue you, to help you? What would I do?
It's happened to me. Ric Flair has come, and he's helped me. All right, let's go back. Let's go back and watch this now.
Let's take a look, David, exactly. We're going to see a portion of what we just saw. Now, Dusty has already come into the ring, and he's starting to, once again, as we have seen before, clean house, as only Dusty Rhodes can do. And I mean, take a look at what this man does. The determination, the absolute, hatred he has for this Russian team. And he really just gets rid of them.
And like you said, there stands two of the top wrestlers, the two top wrestlers in the world.
The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Nature Boy Ric Flair. If you add together the number of matches they've won as singles, it's going to be a number that no two wrestlers will ever be able to reach in the history of professional wrestling. They've won more matches.
Yeah, at first it looked like Ric was reaching up to give his hand to Dusty, but now he starts to point that finger.
David, the cage swings open, and who comes in?
The Andersons, the cousins of Ric Flair. Look at them. Look at them start to pound away on Dusty.
It's an old cliche, I know, that blood is thicker than water, but I guess even blood is thicker than friendship or even helping out your fellow man. But here's the most disappointing thing that I've seen.
Rick's there locking the gate. You know, at first it looks like he was dazed, but he goes over there and locks the gate so no one can get in.
When I was at ringside, I said, well, Flair maybe is trying to, you know, get out and get away from the situation because he's got a man who has helped him. He's got his cousins.
He even goes for help, but he's not doing that.
He went and he locked the cage door. Now, meanwhile, the Andersons beating on Dusty, and look here.
Ric Flair starts to really pound away on Dusty. Look at him, starts to stomp on Dusty's legs.
Dusty obviously dazed, obviously stunned by what is going on. And then we haven't seen anything yet, fans. Take a close look at what you're about to see.
Rick is directing the Andersons to stretch that leg out. No, he says no. He wants it exactly in a position. Look at it. Just one extra one. Now he goes up on that top rope.
Ric Flair's been in so many battles and has fought so many men. You know he knows exactly what to do every time he gets in the ring.
He's up there.
Oh, he knew what he was doing here, too.
Jumps right down on that ankle. Look at him, still stomping away.
Stomping away, and David, we know what that means, right?
There you see. There's still. Rick has that figure 4 on Dusty.
The figure 4 leg lock, the most famous move in wrestling that Ric Flair applies, and now here are the friends trying to get in.
That's right. Dusty has a lot of friends. The World Tag Team Champions, the Rock and Roll Express, Magnum TA, Terry Taylor, Sam Houston. They're all trying to climb over the fence to get in.
They can't get in. That gate is locked. Now, Magnum right here looks
He's
like
trying to tear it off the hinges.
He is going to tear that gate off the hinges if need be to get in to help Dusty Rhodes. Still trying to get in. Still that figure 4 applied. Has been applied for a couple of minutes now. And here they finally get in.
That's right. And look at them pour in. And look at the Andersons. And World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair. They try to get out now.
The Andersons trying to get out. They find that the door may be a little bit jammed right here, David. So what do?
Again, they go back and try to make sure. They go after Magnum. They go after everybody. But the main thing, they want to go after Dusty.
Dusty, as you can tell, David, laying in the center of the ring, and he is really in a lot of pain.
That's right. He's not moving a muscle. There you see. They got one last kick in before they leave.
There they go. I'm sure very happy about what they have done. Nature Boy Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Champion, his cousins, the National Tag Team Champions, Ole and Arn Anderson, after inflicting all this injury, all this pain on Dusty Rhodes, they leave. And now, right now, everyone's in a state of shock.
That is true because everyone is hovering over Dusty. And you know, Dusty's come back from a lot of injuries. But right now, Dusty is not moving.
The man, as the World Television Champion, had a win streak at this point in his career that was probably his greatest win streak of all time. Now he's down. And he, like you said, David, he has come back from many injuries. That is not, you know, he's had many injuries that have not keeping him out of the ring. What about this one?
That's right. I went in there, and Dusty is in pain. Let me tell you right there. I know, because I was in there, and look at him. Look at him. He didn't want anybody getting near him right now, but we have to see exactly the extent of the injury, find out so we can do something about it. What's wrong?
Right here, David, obviously there's a sense of urgency about trying to get Dusty to some proper medical attention. But also, you were there, you know it as well as anybody, you had to really take your time.
That's right. You cannot rush into this. You have to, because of that type of injury or any type of leg injury, you have to take your time. We had Terry Taylor go back and get some ice, get some bandages, Flint. We just want to make sure everything's working.
Because everyone right here, everyone knows that Dusty's in a lot of pain. They know it's a very serious injury. However, they don't know the extent of the injury, so you don't know exactly what to do.
That's right. So you have to treat it like it's the worst thing on earth.
Plus, you've got to wait because there's only one gate to get out of a cage. You've got to wait till they take the cage down. That always takes a little bit of time.
There you see, we finally get that, but we had to cut the boot off. Slowly slip it off. Now we've got some ice there. And look at it. It's just laying there. And there you see. That man is in pain.
That man is hurt. He is hurt. He is hurt physically with that ankle, but I'm sure he is hurt emotionally too, because the man came in to aid Ric Flair. And here's the result of what he did. What Dusty Rhodes did for Ric Flair. This is the result. Down the gauge finally goes. And I'm sure a relief on every one of you guys in the ring at this time, relief that the cage was down, that the stretcher could be pulled in at ringside, and you could carry Dusty out.
That's right, because we wanted to get him out of there as fast as possible, because a man like Dusty, when he shows that he's in that much pain, you know something's wrong.
David, I keep thinking back to when Dusty first came into that cage and how everyone felt so great about Dusty Rhodes coming in. Felt that here he came. Dusty Rhodes came in to help out his man. Such a great athlete, such a great man. Here he comes to help out Ric Flair. 10 minutes later, you know, we were all in a state of shock at what had happened. And now Dusty being carried out. Who would have thought that Dusty Rhodes, who came in to help his fellow man, would have been carried out of the ring?
You know, even now, Tony, Dusty will not talk about it.
And that's one thing we've been trying to contact Dusty, trying to talk to him. Dusty, we know it's a serious injury. Tell us something about it. You know, when you have an injury, you know how serious it is. You know how much pain you're going under. Tell us something about it. We can't even reach him. He won't, he won't answer our phone calls or anything. So we certainly are thinking about with Dusty at this time. Hopefully that he will recover. But David, it's serious. It really is.
Very serious. Seriously, we finally are getting him out of the ring, and back to the dressing room.
Back to the dressing room, put into a private plane, flown to Charlotte, North Carolina, Metrolina Sports Medicine Clinic. Dr. Joseph Aswanik, his doctor, taking a look at it. And David, later on, we're going to look more into it.
You know, the Ric Flair in the ring fighting one of the Russians. Again, Ric Flair's still sort of a babyface at this time. Kind of,
yep.
Sort of. Not really, but he's Flair being Flair, but he's being cheered. He's fighting the Russians. Dusty comes in to make the save. Flair is pissed off that Dusty came and made the save. And then the Andersons come in and beat the shit out of fucking Dusty.
He deserved it, though.
He did deserve it. Yeah, they have Tully in the mix. Tully brings in JJ, because JJ was his manager, and they kind of just formed this stable.
Now let's bring in once again the man, the world heavyweight champion. It's your boy Ric Flair.
You know, as great as I am, it's a little hard when there aren't too many telephone booths around for myself to get ready to come out here, and style and profile for the world today. You see, this is the world heavyweight champion. Just like this, one moment, the greatest athlete alive. Just like this, the second moment, a refined business executive. And you know what? When you're the world champion, you always hang out with the elite people in the greatest sport in the world. I'm talking about professional wrestling. You look at the great Tully Blanchard, the United States heavyweight champion, right here. There they are. My own family, the national tag team champions, Ole and Arn Anderson, and the new world, and I mean world television champion, the great Arn Anderson. And Tony, you gotta know that, brother, you're standing right here in some tall cotton, if you know what I mean, right, Ole?
Some of the best in the world, right? Not some of the best. You're talking about the best. Everybody else looks at the Andersons, they look at Flair, they look at Blanchard, and when they try to figure out a game plan, or when they want to figure out how they want to be the rest of their life, that's the people that they look at. We're the people that they look at. We've got more pictures in wrestling rooms, locker rooms, than any place else, or anybody else in the whole world. That's because we're the best. We've got the belts to prove it. We've always done a lot of talking. We've always done a lot of bragging. But like we said years ago, I guess, it's difficult to be modest when you're so great. And we are great. We are the best.
Lord, how it's hard to be humble. Woo. You know, you're looking at the real positive attraction guys right here. I mean, girls, is there anything like it? I know all you women out there in Columbus know how refined Ole Anderson can be, huh? Woo. You remember how he used to terrorize the great state of Georgia.
Hey. Here, there is Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA. They
were quiet time.
Oh, they're calling Flair. They're calling Ric Flair. David, but there's four of these guys here.
Hey, wait a minute.
There's four of these guys on the floor here. It's easy for them to talk.
Talking Magnet say, hey, come on, you guys. We don't care if they're four. Come on, now Flair's taking his foot. Flair's taking off. They're getting in the ring. All four of them. All four, man. Ole Arn. Come on, Warden. Come on, Warden, come in.
afraid? Come on! What kind of stuff is this? You know as well as I do that Rhodes has got something in that boot. Who knows what the Road Warrior's got on? We're talking about Rhodes. We're talking about Mac and Cheese.
Kind of out of coincidence. There's a famous story where Arn Anderson just, he says the lines like, there's never been a group of men who caused so much havoc since the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse, and Schiavone after the show goes up to him and says, "You just named your group the Four Horsemen." So that's where it comes from.
Along with James J. Dillon. Just like Christmas, New Year's, Easter, the 4th of July, anytime you see the Four Horsemen together, it's something special. It's a special day. It's an event, if you would. The newspapers come around, the TV cameras cover it, because we're special, because we control wrestling. We rule the world of professional wrestling. The world television champion, the world heavyweight champion, the greatest tag team combination of all time, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, the Andersons, and my humble self. Tony Schiavone, The Rock and myself stand before you in this Yuletide season a little naked. You see, world television champion, world heavyweight champion, but Rock and I are a little bare. Our tree is a little bare. But let me tell you, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that's temporary. You see Nikita Koloff, you've got to stop. You're the U.S. heavyweight champion. I'm not forgetting that. Ronnie Garvin, Barry Windham, you're the U.S. tag champions. Rock and myself have not forgot that. So rest assured, GQ Ball, as I stand here before you, rest assured, your U.S. title is in jeopardy. It doesn't get mentioned much, but it's in the back of my mind, because I'm going to tell you, I myself, personally, am going to restore the name Anderson to where it should be, on top of the heap. I guess what we're trying to say is whether you're a fat, out-of-shape truck driver, whether you're a skinny geek pushing a taxi cab, whether you're a doctor or lawyer that doesn't have half the money we have, this is the way life is. If Ole wants to slap Road Warrior Hawk, he'll do it. If Tully wants to spit on Road Warrior Animal, he'll do it. If Arn wants to take Dusty Rhodes, do all that, he'll do it. And Nikita, if I want you, all three of them, gonna hold you, I'm gonna slap you, I'm gonna spit on you, I'm gonna kick you, and I'm gonna go, woo, all night long. We going to Minneapolis, we going to LA, we going to Frisco, Albuquerque, Chicago. In other words, after we beat all the wrestlers up, and there's a woman out there, what's to find out just where she stands in the world of femininity. Jump on the Horseman one time, baby. It's an all-night ride. We're going to destroy Philly tonight. Woo! Chicago tomorrow, the Four Horsemen right here. Yeah! Woo!
So it was nothing that was planned out, or it wasn't a booking committee who came up with it, or it wasn't a writer who came up with it. It was just organic. And then the fans would come to the arenas, and they would hold up the four fingers, and they started dressing in suits, and they were off to the races there. So
yep.
Ric Flair, Tony Blanchard, and Arn Anderson.
And look at us, only we can look. You know, David Crockett, you had the nerve to make an idiotic statement a while ago that the greatest wrestling attraction in the world was going to be here tonight. Dusty Rhodes, right out there in the middle of that ring. Well, you know how stupid that sounds. You're looking at the world television champion, the national heavyweight champion, the world champion, and the legendary James J. Dillon. And everybody in the building wants to know what's causing all this. And I'll tell you what it is. What's causing this is ability, wrestling ability. You're looking at the greatest wrestlers alive today. What do we got here, huh? George?
Let me tell you something, stud hoss. You out here shooting your mouth all day in and day out about what you can do. The greatest sports attraction in the world today is going to wrestle on this TV tonight. If you got anything in that gut of yours besides butterflies, you'll go back, put on your tights, put on your coat, put on your robe, and face me tonight, right in that ring right there. Oh, and by the way, Tully, Baby doll told me, Daddy.
You know, David Crockett, it costs a lot of money to put one of us on television. So Dusty Rhodes, you just keep on dreaming. Woo!
So Matt, what's your favorite incarnation of the Four Horsemen?
Oh man, I would have to say it's a combination of either the one with Luger, because it was kind of a good unit and each guy had their own kind of thing going on, or when Barry Windham was in there, because I just love the turn.
Luger. Windham made the tag, and Wyndham's upset. Barry, no! Oh, no. Luger mustered only punches to stand up. What in the world's going on? He's trying to put himself up. Luger trying to put himself up, and look at the Horseman in the window.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, the Andersons and Blanchard and Flair, and that was, yeah, it's fine. But I think I wasn't as big a fan as Ole as I am now back then, so I was like, Ole's old, true Ole. And, you know, I mean, looking back, maybe part of that was Ole pulling to Dusty at the other side of the booking, you know, like, oh, form myself with the hottest heel stable. But he also did a good job turning face and doing that angle, too, so.
It was funny with Ole. Ole was probably on the downside of his career by the time. Mm-hmm. He's been wrestling for fucking ever at that point. He's definitely the elder statesman of the Horsemen. And they make it through 87, though. And then that's when Luger came in. And it's funny what they did with Luger, because Luger came in saying, I want to be a Horseman. He's the first person to ever really kind of do that. He was actively trying to get into the Horsemen. And they were kind of like, at first they kind of blow him off a little bit, but eventually he garnered more and more favor, and then eventually they kick out Ole because he missed shows to watch his son at his wrestling matches, amateur wrestling matches. Yeah, Ole was a hell of a babyface. People forget about that. He was a pretty good babyface at this point. He was also a pretty good babyface in Georgia before he turned on Dusty.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was very Bill Watt, pro-American babyface. It was done really, really well. And then obviously the Wyndham version is well regarded, and that would be the last version because Arn and Tully would go to WWF, and Wyndham would go to WWF as well. You know, he became the Widowmaker. You remember that? Yeah.
Yes, I try not to.
But they came back in December of '89, and it was Flair, Arn, Ole, and then they added Sid to the mix.
From tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's all on the line. Ric Flair, Lex Luger, first time ever in a cage for the world title, and the Horsemen are indeed at full strength. Watch out, Sting and RoboCop.
Jim Ross, people, you're about to find out that the manhunt is over.
What she is saying to the wrestling world is, now we have the ace, the trump card, so that next Saturday night, not only am I going to beat Lex Luger in the cage, not only is he going to bleed from coast to coast, he is going to be the most embarrassed athlete alive, because when you get beat in the cage, it's all over. Tell him, Rock.
Come on in here. Just when everybody thought it couldn't get any better, take a look. This is going to be the edition, the brand new edition. Now we are at full strength. And if anybody has any doubt about what the Horsemen can do, take a look at the man that's going to take care of RoboCop.
RoboCop, I'm 6'9", 320 pounds. I am the real man of steel in the NWA, and you better learn to like it.
What an addition. It's full strength 6. I don't want to be around the 6'9".
Can you believe it? Flair takes Luger, the Horseman takes Sting, and the bucket of bolts goes to Sid Vicious. Tell him about it, Barry.
We have amassed the true powers of professional wrestling right here. And with the big man on our side, we can't lose. Luger, Sting, it's the end. You may as well give up, because from now on, we dominate professional wrestling.
Jim Ross, in my own articulate way, I'm going to spell it out for the entire world. If you think we're playing stack the deck in Washington, D.C., the most violent city in the country, where murder runs rampant, we're bringing the violence to Washington, my friend. If you think R2-D2 and Sting on one leg and Luger can buck these odds, you are out of your noodle. Tell me.
Say one thing to Ted Turner and to everybody out there. I don't care if you're 5 years old or 50 years old. This guy is 6'10". He weighs 350 pounds. He's going to eliminate Robocop and Sting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to break your leg again. Think about that, Sting. When you walk that aisle, we're going to break your leg again.
Which always felt like Sid was in the Horseman, but he wasn't really in the Horseman. It felt like he was getting pushed kind of individually, but he was kind of being hidden in the Horseman in like 6-mans and tag matches and stuff like that. It's funny because Sid gets over, and it baffles everyone why Sid gets over, because he's over with casual fans, he's over with smart fans, and you think Sid would be someone that the smart fans would absolutely hate, like Hogan? But no, they like Sid. He has charisma, but he can't talk all that well. You know what I mean? Because he says ridiculous shit. But his intensity is there, and he just looks like someone that will murder you, like straight up murder you.
Right. I will say this. I never was a big Sid fan anyways. I am a big fan of EC3.
Yeah.
And this past weekend, he went to a show because I guess Sid no-showed it.
Yeah, so Sid no-showed a show and claimed that it was due to Donald Trump's travel ban. That was the excuse he gave.
Wow.
But this is Sid. He no-show shows all the time.
Right.
Yeah, it's too bad it's not softball season.
Yeah, but
ridiculous.
I just love the fact that he wore a wig and like dressed up like him and then signed autographs and put, "I'm not Sid." Like, yeah, that's just damn good.
That's good. That's a AIW show. I believe that's in Chicago. But yeah, that's awesome. Another interesting incarnation of the Horseman is the one with Paul Roma. I feel bad for Paul. I feel bad for Paul Roma because Paul Roma's not a bad worker, but you got put in the Horseman, so everyone fucking shit on it.
Yeah.
But there was only 3. Like there was Flair, Arn, and Paul Roma. And Ole was around, but he wasn't in matches. That was it. There was no fourth Horseman. It probably should have been Paul Orndorff at that time.
Oh, right.
But he was there, but then I would have put Orndorff in the Horseman. Yeah, that 93 incarnation of the Horseman is rough. But they bring it back again. And this time they do it with Flair, Arn, Benoit, and Brian Pillman. It's a really strong group of horsemen, you know what I mean? And I thought Brian Pillman was actually a really good fit, and had Benoit, who was, the crippler, and that lasted for a while, and people were pretty happy with that. And then, Pillman, ends up leaving to go to ECW for a split second, and then go to WWF, and then they replace him with Mongo. That's right, Steve Mongo McMichael, who was getting a hell of a reaction, though. Like, he was over. He couldn't work at all, but no one cared.
Yeah, he was like, I never liked him. I thought he was just terrible all around.
Flair claims he partied like a horseman, though.
Oh, I'm sure he did. They passed Deborah around, I'm sure, It was a good time. Oh.
They did kind of add Jeff Jarrett to the mix, but not really.
Oh, right. Well, there was the Horseman with the other guys too.
Yeah, Dean Malenko was in it for a second,
right.
And then Benoit, and then Kurt Hennig was in the Horseman for a month, and then he turned on the Horseman and joined the NWO. So,
I actually have a poster in my house somewhere that was a gift, and it's one of those gifts that like the person doesn't know wrestling that well. They meant well.
Yeah.
And it was a Four Horsemen poster with Benoit, Arn, Flair, and I think McMichael. I think it was McMichael in that one. Or Sid. I had to go look at it. It's somewhere in the house. It was like, oh, thanks. Great.
You know, I have a what if they brought the Horsemen to the WWF when Flair went in '91, and then my WWF version of the Horsemen would have been Flair, Ted DiBiase, Mike Rotundo, and Sid. I think that's a fair group of Horsemen. I think.
Not Randy?
Savage?
Yeah.
No, Savage is up by himself. Savage is a babyface by that time. I mean, you could have put Jake in there if you want.
Jake Roberts?
Jake Roberts. I mean, you couldn't put the Undertaker in there because he's a character, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I would like to have a big guy in the Horsemen. Maybe put the Warlord, Martel. You can do Martel, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on, what kind of stable you want to make it.
No, it would have to be a little bit cartoony. Like they would have to ride it on horses and stuff like that because it's the WWF.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they've had all the members of the Horsemen one time or another. Like they had 3 out of the 4 in like 80, 89 with Wyndham, Arn, and Tully. They just didn't have Flair.
Yeah.
And then when Flair was Flair in the WWF, they were not there.
Do you think that's because it wasn't a McMahon invention?
I mean, I'm surprised they didn't put Flair in the stable because I think that's where he's not. I don't really like him by himself. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he can carry it, but I think he needs an entourage. And he did sort of have an entourage in WWF with Heenan and Perfect, but I think he needed an entourage that could wrestle. Yeah. So you could have put him in 6-man. You could have put him in an 8-man tags on the house shows. So you don't have to really kind of burn through all those one-on-one matches with like Piper and Hogan and stuff like that and Savage. But maybe you put a heel Bret Hart in there. Maybe you could have done a lot of things. McMahon didn't like factions at all, though. He wasn't a big proponent of that. Like he had stables, but that's just a manager who manages a bunch of guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I don't think he was a big fan of stables like that. I mean, I know they tried. They wanted Flair to have a manager, so they put him with Bobby. But Bobby didn't want to go on the road full time, so I probably would have put him with Jimmy Hart. I'm surprised they didn't do that. Not to talk, just to hand them the fucking megaphone and hit people with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like I'm surprised they didn't do that. But yeah, like there's that Survivor Series that Flair's in. I'm like, that's interesting because it was DiBiase, and I think IRS, and that might have been the Warlord. I'm like, that'd make an interesting Horseman.
Well, I do think one of the things I always considered the difference between WWE and NWA was that the heels in NWA were more relatable. They were more like they had more, I'm going to call it athletic goals or more personal goals, where it was more cartoony in WWE, so...
Like, it would get bad because you ended up with shit like the Berserker.
Right.
What the fuck is, like, this Viking dude and with the sword?
Huss.
And you ended up with Nails, who's like, I want to get revenge of the big boss man because he beat me in prison. I'm just going to join the WWF. That doesn't make any sense.
Sure. Don't employ anybody.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah. But, that's when they were really trying to appeal to kids, and it worked for a while until it didn't.
Right.
So we are a couple of days away from Wrestle Kingdom 12. I'm pretty excited about this show. New Japan can be hard to follow because obviously we don't get the TV here in the States unless you have New Japan World, which a lot of us don't have. But it is their biggest show of the year. I will be watching it. Looking at the card here, one thing that stands out is like a gauntlet 6-man title match they have. That could be a little bit. That could be rough to watch. The New Japan Rumble historically has been tough to watch. But I'm curious to see about who they're going to bring in. I mean, they're going to have Scott Norton and Billy Gunn again. Who knows? They have a 4-way for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. I want to see Will Ospreay. That's going to be cool. What's drawing the card here is the Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega match. We all know this. No DQ match for the IWGP United States Championship. And I have a sneaking suspicion. I think Jericho's going over, man.
Oh yeah, I would put over Jericho. Because if you have Omega win, that's it. But if you have Jericho win through some heel mechanism, then you get a rematch. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this is some sort of gateway. Eventually.
What do you mean? To get more ex-WWF talent, or to have them work together, or
either that, or going the other direction. You have Jericho return to WWE at some point, and he does the open challenge at some pay-per-view, or some Raw, and Kenny Omega comes out.
That makes a whole lot of sense. I don't see them ever doing anything like that because it would be too good. You know what I mean? Like they've never done. Like they have opportunities throughout history to do all types of cool shit like that. Like Kenny Omega ends up being number 30 at the Rumble. Like they could do shit like that. They just choose not to. They've never chosen to go in that direction. So it's like it's not even a possibility because they would almost never do it. There's no evidence to say that they would do anything that cool.
Yeah.
And they would probably go the other way. They have Jericho come back, issue an open challenge and have it be Jason Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know, they're so weird. I mean, yeah, they did have Jushin Thunder Liger at the NXT TakeOver a couple years back. I was at that show, but I don't see them doing anything. It could lead in, if Jericho returns, it could lead into a feud with Nakamura, maybe. It's like, I went to Japan and beat everyone up in Japan. I'm coming back for you. That type shit, right?
Right.
So it's like, that's a possibility.
I mean, if you wanted to, I wouldn't do it this Royal Rumble, but let's say Kenny Omega's contract is up, I don't know, whenever, next year or something like that. If you want to have him in the Maximum entrance, you have Jericho in the Rumble next year, not this year coming up.
Right.
And he's like one of the last guys left. There's a moment where the ring kind of empties, and it's like him and like, he's like, I got this. And then I would say you should make Royal Rumble somebody's debut for somebody worthwhile every year. So that way every year somebody, like when AJ Styles came out, there should be somebody every year. Because you don't need those, throwback, here's Roddy Piper, like here's Hercules Hernandez. No. There's enough guys on the rosters between all the shows to fill that twice before you go to that direction.
Yeah. I bet you the WWE was shocked that people knew who AJ Styles was.
Yeah, I can see it.
You would think that would open their eyes, though, but it probably hasn't.
I would say you could get less of that thinking with Triple H running the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if Vince is selling his shares is a sign he's moving out of it.
He sold it to me for $100 million.
Right. But I read somewhere where somebody said he doesn't want to be known as a wrestling promoter, and when he goes away, he wants to be something else.
It's a stock scam.
You think so?
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. If the chairman of the board of any company sold off $100 million worth of stock, normal thinking, common sense tells us, right, that stock will fucking drop because people will be panicking like, why is he selling? But if there's a story out there that he's going to invest that money into another endeavor, the stock is not going to drop. And their stock did not drop. So he kind of he took out his $100 million, put it in his pocket, he's going to walk away. And he's made $100 million. And their stock price didn't drop. Do I think he's going to do a XFL, a football league? Maybe. Probably not, though. He lost money in that once before. I don't think he's done enough to lose money in that again.
Yeah.
Yes, he doesn't want to be known as a wrestling promoter. That's why he's a sports entertainment promoter, right? He makes he makes sitcoms and major motion pictures. That's why he has a music company. That's why he has a film company, you know.
I will say this. I think if he was going to get involved in anything sports-wise, it wouldn't be the XFL. The most viable, legit, like authentic, has a chance to make it out there is if LeVar Ball does start a NBA-type basketball like feeder league of kids who don't want to go to college but want to make $10,000 a month, because you're going to see NCAA dry up because those kids are going to say, "Fuck you, the assholes at NCAA." They'll go to this other league. All the best players will be there making their money because they're going to go, well, if they don't want an education, that's fine. But if they can go, I can make money instead of pretending to go to class and doing this bullshit for these assholes and make some money that's going to help my family now. That's, I think, a big driving factor. You'll see people saying,
you don't think the NBA would just say, okay, we'll take kids out of high school then?
They would what?
Because the rule right now in the NBA is that you have to do at least a year in college, right? Or have to be, I guess the age is 19.
Yeah.
Well, what if the NBA just drops the rule back to like, oh, we'll take 18-year-olds again?
It still doesn't matter. I mean, these kids. I'm not saying this is a matter of them going right to the pros, because they can go and they can do that. I'm saying you're going to see a lot of kids go, and the thing is, this is the kind of thing that McMahon would be all over because he's a brash guy. LeVar Ball's a brash guy. You had him on his show. Maybe for all we know, LeVar Ball said to him, "Hey man, you had the XFL once. I get the XBL."
Right.
You know, and do this, and it's going to be less money with less injury insurance because NFL is a way more violent sport.
Yeah, for real.
You'd have easy TV deals. There's already a 3-on-3 league, which is pretty popular.
Yeah.
Basketball is starting to get more popular than football. And I know they want to say all this shit like, oh, the kneeling players hurt attendance. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. The attendance was suffering anyways.
It's been on decline for the last 5 years. Everyone knows that.
Well, that's the thing. It's a better view at home.
Yeah.
It's a better, like my dad's always been at that point. I used to go to games with my dad every so often. And it would always be a pain in the ass driving there, sitting in the traffic, waiting. It's cold as hell in New England here. Our stadium used to be sucky as shit. It's nice now, but it's still cold in the winter.
But they don't give you a retractable roof. They don't give you a dome.
Right.
That's not the most comfortable thing to be at. But these things are cyclical. You know, I mean, at one point, baseball was the #1 sport in the United States. Boxing, you know, basketball in the '80s was fantastic. It's starting to resurge now. I think. You know, we'll see how it goes. Vince is better off doing a fucking WWE inspired theme park. My opinion.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's the rumor. The big rumor is that he's gonna sell out to Disney.
Oh boy.
That's why he's taking his money out. But I don't think Disney wants to do anything with wrestling. They've never had any interest before. I know they're acquiring properties right now, but I don't think that's a property that they want. They've had experience with wrestling before, and you know the Disney tapings and WCW, but I don't think they're interested. You have an attraction, you know, and do your TV from Disney World.
Yeah, I do know there's going to be a Star Wars thing.
Yes, that's coming.
Because a friend of mine went there, and he said when he went there, they went on one of the tours, and they had giant, you know, billboards up saying like, you know, future home of Star Wars Land, or what the fuck it was called.
That's gonna be so fucking crazy.
Well, that's the thing. Like we were all talking about Disney. Would you go to Disney? I'm like, no, not really. But like Star Wars Land, I might go to that.
Like they already do like a convention there, because I was there like the week before the convention started, and they started putting up all the Star Wars stuff, and it was really cool looking. Yeah, but yeah, I wanna have a hotel room that looks like the Millennium Falcon, because I think that would be awesome. But be on the lookout for WWE Land in 2022. All right, guys. So we are officially out of time. So